Sunday, nice to have you with us, and time to talk tech and gaming with Nick Khan, who's the associate editor of Stuff magazine. Nick, I was trying to post something on Facebook, and then was confronted by a furious teenager who said, "There's something wrong with my phone." And then came back 5 minutes later and said, "I think there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi at home," and was in an absolute panic, as I think millions and millions and millions of teenagers were. What the hell happened with Facebook last week?
Well, I mean, you can go back to your kids and say, this time, it wasn't my fault, kids. It really wasn't. And the outage, like you said, millions and millions of kids, and also millions and millions of adults had the same problem. They basically couldn't access any of Facebook services, including Facebook, the platform, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Now, Facebook's explanation is essentially the configuration changes on the backbone routers that coordinate network traffic between our data centers caused issues that interrupted this communication, and that had a cascading effect, bringing our services to a halt. Now, that's a heck of a mouthful. Let me put it in layman's terms. Basically, the infrastructure firm Cloudflare put it the best when they said it basically was as if someone had pulled out all the cables from their data centers all at once and disconnected them from the internet. Essentially, Facebook has an infrastructure which went down, and its system stopped talking to the wider internet, which is why no one was able to access their services.
But it seemed to me a little bit strange when I started to speaking to people who know a bit about this, because I know very little. This came about 2 hours, I believe, after a whistleblower had some interesting facts to say about the platform.
Yeah, although I don't think those two things were connected. I really don't. I mean, I just think that that's one of those things where the stars align to give Facebook the worst week in PR possible. But you're right, Frances Haugen, who's a former employee of Facebook, essentially had been communicating with the Wall Street Journal over an expose that they were running that dug into Facebook quite horrifically. It was based on documents she had copied, and thousands of pages of documents she had copied and taken away from Facebook. And it revealed quite a few damning things. Now, Facebook hasn't denied that these documents are real, yet they haven't also said that they are false. And what Haugen told the Wall Street Journal, and then eventually when she revealed herself as the whistleblower, she told Congress last week, was a number of things, including the fact that Facebook had a team to moderate content around the American elections, for example, and after the elections was over, they disbanded it. That Facebook points people in the direction of conflict in order to make money. That Instagram has a rather nasty effect on the confidence of a lot of its younger female users, I beg your pardon, and that there are around 50 million people on Facebook who can ignore their terms and conditions. Facebook has in the past said that everyone's treated, the same, and these documents revealed that no, there are millions of people, some of them politicians, some of them celebrities, who Facebook internally allegedly says can ignore their terms and conditions because whatever they post is going to drive eyeballs towards them, which means more data collection and more money for Facebook.
The one thing that confuses me, though, I mean, you say that the simple explanation was all these cables were pulled out of all these thingamagwadgies.
Metaphorical cables.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp would surely not be running off of one server or one server system. Surely they'd have all sorts of backups in place for something like this.
Well, I mean, you'd assume so. I mean, the report I read on the BBC essentially breaks it down like this. The internet breaks down into hundreds of thousands of networks, and a company like, say, Facebook or Twitter, even or even TikTok, they have their own larger network, which is known as an autonomous network. Okay, so when you want to go to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, the backend system that allows computers to connect with their network uses a BGP, and that's a border gateway protocol. It's kind of like if you imagine a mail service for the internet, right? And in order to get to those websites, the BGP looks at all of the paths that the data could travel and picks up the best route. And I'm quoting, by the way, at this point, on Monday, Facebook suddenly stopped providing the information the system needed to function. And that essentially meant that no one's computer or their smart devices or their tablets or whatever could connect to Facebook or any of its sites.
I think the one company that loved this was Twitter.
Oh yeah, they even posted a tweet about it. They put a tweet online that said, "Hello world." But to tell you the truth, I mean, it was always going to be a temporary thing. Facebook knows that the longer it stays offline, the more expensive it gets. I mean, I think Mark Zuckerberg personally lost $7 billion in the time that it took to get Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram back online. Then again, given his net worth, he probably loses that amount of money behind the sofa.
Yeah, exactly. Chances of this happening again?
Um, how long is a piece of string? I doubt it's going to happen in the very near future. I don't see it happening for a very long time, but never say never on the internet.
Yeah. And I'm sure there were a lot of meetings held, and there's a lot of shouting that went on after this particular incident. For that update and that insight, thank you very much, Nick. Nice to have you with us, and we'll chat with you again next Sunday, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Nick Cowan, Associate Editor of Stuff Magazine. Well, hold thumbs. It doesn't sort of happen as soon as the Christmas period hits us. Can you imagine what would have happened on Christmas Day or on New Year's Eve if something like that had happened? Oh, there would be a proper, can you say shitstorm? I think so. Yeah, because that's what it would be. Till next time, cheering bye.